Hello Gundam fans, this is Prime92, and today I'll be looking at the 10144 high grade Build Gundam Mark II from the Build Fighters anime series. So this is the replacement, temporary replacement, while the Build Strike kind of gets repaired and upgraded in the show. And that's what it feels like. It is the Mark II, old Mark II high grade that we got, and it has a new forehead piece, V-fin, a new middle chest, the vents, and some arm girders. Other than that, it is the same, with a slightly different color scheme, at least for the one I have. Now, I don't have the original separate release. I don't think there was a separate release of the Mark II. It came with either the armor, the flying armor, which I have, or the G-Defensor. I don't know if the G-Defensor one was a different color, but the one I have from the flying armor is different. I find this one has a slight gray hue to it, while this one's more of a white. The chest is more of a navy blue, while this one's more of a true blue. And even the inner frame pieces, the joints, are a dark gray. Red seems to be the same, and the yellow seems to be the same. I didn't know that until I misplaced the little cover for the backpack, and I was just going to switch them. But no, that's a little too different of a color. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I figured they'd just be the same color. Now, the Mark II was never a sticker-heavy high grade. It had the forehead camera, the back of the head, and the eyes. But now, yellow V-fin stickers, yellow chest fin stickers. Yeah, they couldn't spring for 3 pieces of plastic. Just one little tree of 3 pieces. They couldn't do it, so more stickers, more to paint. You can do it, it's kind of annoying, being that Bandai seems to be wanting to evolve their modeling process and then just kind of step backwards. I don't know. And being an old high grade, it's still pretty good. The Mark II's been one of the better high grade, I think, from the early 2000s. And it's nothing wrong with it, really, other than being an old kit. Although I think they should have chosen a newer one, a newer high grade, because you do have a lot of seam lines going on here. In the arms, the legs, the head, and the chest, pretty much everywhere. I think they should have chosen a newer one, which they could have probably modified easier, but what are you gonna do? As it is, it's not too bad. It has some problems because of the newer parts, they just kinda half-assed it, but it's still a pretty good high grade. Now, the head goes up and down a little, rotates, arms very little forward and back, but they can go up and down, and go out, and they can rotate below the shoulder, one joint at the elbow, ball joint at wrist, swivel at the waist, hinge front skirts, so you can't separate them, there's no ball joint, hinge side skirt, legs go forward, a little back, a little out, double jointed knee. You got a hinge for the foot armor and a ball jointed foot, and a hinge for the front of the foot. Now, if it wasn't for the waist, I think this would actually be really good articulation, because the arms are pretty decent, and the ankles are pretty decent, but it's the knees and the mostly the hips that really kind of weigh it down. But even so, it's still pretty good for articulation, I think. Now, it does come with all the old Mark II accessories. You got the shield, which you can have in stored or opened up. And it has the same connector, which you'd have to unplug the arm guards to put it on. You've got the beam saber handles mounted on the back, which are on ball joints. And you can take them off. Now, before, we only got a holding hand with the beam. You'd have to paint it. It is nicely detailed, but, you know, solid piece. They actually gave us clear pink beams. Now you have to take the hand cover off to put them in the hand, but still, that is really good. I was not expecting them to do that. Especially how they kind of cheaped out with the new parts. And you also have the beam rifle with a movable handle. And the bazooka with a movable handle. And it will mount on the back skirt, just like before, like that. And in case you're wondering, maybe you don't like this new design and you want an original Mark II, maybe you don't have a Mark II, you do get the V-fin, the chest fence, and the chest plate. So you can make a Mark II, an original Mark II, if you don't like the new parts. And I think it looks better with these colors. I like the blue and the more white. That's just me. Now the new parts, well, you get the build, what do you want to call it, the build Mark II booster, which you can buy separately if you already have this, like, a Mark II and you don't want the new pieces. You can buy it by itself. And it has quite a few stickers. Basically all the yellow are stickers, and the cockpit, which does kind of look like the G-Defensor cockpit. And it does have a hole for a action base. I don't know why it has these two. It could kind of hold something, like maybe you could stick a beam in there. I don't know. And I've seen pictures where you can actually take these parts down. They can move. And now you have kind of like a little turret, which is, I think, kind of neat. So to mount this to the Mark II, you just have to detach the core piece, which this part can fly back, so it can go on its little way, which it never did in the show, but whatever. Now, this is a little disappointing because these arm pieces are not on rotating pieces. You have to actually pull them out and then plug them in. There's a little peg. Don't cut that peg off because it actually connects into these little gaps. So they can push it back down like that, and like that, and then just plug it into the back, right like that, and you're done, mostly. Because now, you could leave it like this if you want, and then if you could rotate it up and have these facing forward, and because of that peg it'll hold in place. I mean, you might be able to cut that peg off and rotate it freely. I would suggest maybe thickening that peg up before you do it. I don't know. But what you can do now is slide off this part. It's just connected right into there. And you'll take the mounting unit on the arm, flip out this little gray peg, and they give you a part that looks like a polycap, but it's made of plastic, the hard plastic. So you peg it in, and then the little teeth right here are going to kind of fit into a little gap. It's not super secure, but it will fit. Kind of like, more like rest. And so now it's mounted on the arm. And then just do it here. I find this one's actually looser. And there we go. So that's basically it. And then you can take these, they're on a rotating here and here, so you can kind of just put these little parts back, which there's more little stickers right there. And also stickers right here. So now that is pretty much it. Now something else you get, they decided since you have two beam rifles, another trigger finger hand, because this one was always a holding hand for like a beam saber. Although they don't give you any extra cover, so you just gotta switch it. Like that. And now you're ready. You can detach the actual beam rifle part from the mounting unit. You have to unpeg this little blue part here, and then push forward and pull out. The cool thing is this little part here pegs into there. Kind of makes it a little more clean. I like that. It's neat. And then you just have to plug this in and kind of put it around the trigger finger. And there is the beam rifle in the hand. I personally like it better on the arm. It's just a little more unique. But you can have it either way, one or the other, or both. It doesn't matter. But you do have a choice. And let's get the little core fighter here. So that is basically all the accessories with the Build Gundam Mark II, and I think it's pretty good. Pretty good. However, you can sort of connect this to the real grade. Now I have the Titan color, which actually the colors work really well for the new parts. And you can, if I can do it, actually let's do it with this one. You can sort of connect the arm guard pieces to the real grade. Come off. It's not as close to the arm, but there are the holes there, and it does seem to fit. So you can have them on there, just not as close to the arm as the as would be here. But like I said, the colors actually work really well. I like this. I think I might, because I am getting another set of the actual booster pack, I might actually put them on this guy. Because it is kind of neat. Now the backpack is another story. Okay, there's this part here on the back. Get out of the way. This piece here, which is in here when it's on the high grade. But if you pull it out, it's got a hook. And it's designed specifically to peg back in like that. That would tell me... Now this is actually an adapter piece. But that would tell me it was designed to hook into here. Although it doesn't seem to be specifically designed for that. It'll stay, but it's very loose. But it does mean you can do it. There is a way to do it. It won't hold perfectly, but you can. Then you can move these parts around if you want and get them in a certain position. So you can, if you want, have... Now, the actual armor pieces won't connect. You could probably glue them on, but they're not like designed because they're different pegs and stuff. But you can have the booster on the real grade, it seems. Now, as for the G Defensor, I haven't been able to hook it onto the back of this because you see there is a peg hole on the back of the booster. And I thought maybe it would connect the G Defensor so you could kind of have some kind of weird conglomerate. This one is the third-party version, which I think is made specifically for the real grade. So the high grade one might have a different setup here. So it might work. I can't say for certain. However, you can kind of hook the Build Strike booster onto it. Pretty much anything that has the clearance and has a peg. And then you can have some kind of weird... Oh, I guess I need the, give me that back. And you can have some kind of weird thing going on here. Yeah, that's a lot on the back. So you can do stuff with it. You can have some kind of backpack inception going on. So, yeah, let's just get the arm collet back on there. So that's as much as I can determine you can do with the Mark II backpack. You can connect it probably to other mobile suits as well that have like the peg connector and have the space on their back to maneuver that in. Yeah, that's about it. So it's pretty good. There's a lot of stuff you can do with the backpack, that's for sure. With the accessories, you can use all the old ones if you want, and the new ones I really do like. Well, since I've already shown them, let's compare this with the real grade. And yeah, it is a little bulkier than the real grade, but that's to be expected, really. And because I have it here as well, the old high grade that is based on. And heck, why not the titanium finish? Yep, and because I had to get them out for the backpack, the Build Strike, which it's replacing. So, that is the Build Gundam Mark II. It is interesting high grade, a reuse of an old high grade. I do think the new parts help it. They do make it look rather unique with all the new the backpack and a few little pieces on it. But I still think they should use a new high grade, a newer one, instead of this one. But it's alright. If you're not a big fan of the actual the Mark II, or you already have a high grade Mark II, and you don't want another one, you can still get the backpack by itself. Because, like I said, it is a pretty neat backpack. So that's about it, and I'll see you at the next review.